Hello everyone, welcome to the Ashes of Creation live stream where we kind of talk to you about all of the development things that have been going on this month and give you little quick updates, and we get to meet a bunch of different people from our team and talk about what they've been up to, which is really fun. So first of all, I'm Margaret Krohn. I'm your community marketing lead, and with me as always is
Jeffrey Bard, lead game designer.
and
Stephen Sharif, creative director.
he's very busy all the time.
No.
Do you say
Not
no?
like this.
Not like this. And so today we're going to be going over studio updates. Steven's going to talk a little bit about that, what's been going on, what cool things we have going down the line for our studio as a whole. And then we're going to be chatting with a new person from our engineering team that you haven't seen, which is Aaron. He's awesome. And, well, he's on our platform engineering team, I should say. And then Michael Bacon, that you all love.
The Baconator.
Yeah, the Baconator will be
Bacon.
joining us again, talking about art. He'll be talking about both the character and environment art. We're very busy here today. And then on design, we have a new designer that's going to be joining us, which is Brian Ferguson. And then we actually have a surprise for you all for the community Q&A. We actually have our community manager, Toast, who's going to be joining us, which will be really awesome.
Nice.
She's amazing. And so just quickly going over the quick updates, we did have an account services update that happened this month. Definitely go check out our ashesofcreation.com/news page for that information. It goes over all of the details, and I think also a little blurb about like what and why we're doing those things. So that's always handy. And then we also put out a lore kind of article that's about a noble steed, and it's really sad. It's a very sad story.
Horses are important to
I like
the
teared.
fan.
I teared up, and a bunch
Yeah.
of people were like, "I cried." I was like, "Oh, that's awesome."
Good storytelling.
It was
Good
It was a
storytelling.
really good story, and of course that came with
Alex.
a beautiful video that we put out there. Obviously, everything that we're putting out is work in progress. We're still in pre-alpha, kind of doing all of that stuff. So keep that in mind as you're watching those things. I think we're going to try to put watermarks on those going forward and stuff like that as well. And we also have our next rotation of cosmetics that are coming soon, so check those out. You have until next Wednesday. Those will be wrapping up. So I think that we'll just go first into Stephen talking about the studio and studio updates.
Absolutely. Things are moving forward. We're very excited to have that test completed last week. It gave us a lot of great
Was it only
information.
last week?
Yeah.
I know it was last week.
Wow.
This month, I feel like this month went by way too fast, in my
Yes.
opinion. Like I blinked
was
and
like
it's
a month
gone.
ago.
I thought it was like a month ago. I was like, no, but we collected a lot of great data for that. We're moving forward. The team has had a short amount of time to kind of process that stuff. Get the ball moving on changes based on some of that data. Preparing for the next test, which will be announced soon, trademark. We're still preparing for our move to the new studio, which
Coming up, I cannot
so
wait.
Awesome!
which
I'm excited.
will happen November 22nd. So we're very excited about that. We'll have enough space for about 180-ish people, and we're going to really ramp up our hiring once we get the move over. So that's pretty exciting.
No more sweatshop.
I know.
Stop!
Unbelievable.
It's not that bad.
No, it's really
We
great.
did remove a couch area though.
We did.
Yes, that was my favorite area to.
That couch was so
I
comfy.
would go over and sit on that.
Sarah and I did lots of meetings there, and the game services team, we did a lot of meetings. Game services is made of CS, somewhat platform because they do like CS tools for us, and community, and QA.
Yeah, QA.
We also play Magic over there.
Yes, during lunch, sometimes that would be a magic corner.
They have a whole bunch of magic stuff over there.
A lot of magic stuff. But no, things are going swimmingly, and we're very excited for the future. So.
Very excited. I'm excited to have a stand-up desk too, like being able to.
That's
stand
true.
up.
All of the furniture at the
Everybody's going
new,
to.
all the furniture
gonna
at the
move
new
up.
place is
down, I'll go.
stand up or sit down or whatever those are.
Yeah, where
Yeah.
you can change it, which is going to be awesome for people. I know a lot of people have like, we sit all day. It's nice to stand. So yeah, I think that's kind of it for our immediate stuff. Unless Jeff, you want to add something in, because otherwise we're going to swap you out. For I know.
What?
Well, we love
I
you
know,
guys.
I feel like it's need you here a little longer.
No, it's
Yeah.
it's we gotta get on with the show, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yay.
Okay.
All right, we'll see you guys in a bit.
Bye, Jeff.
We are bringing on Aaron Bartholomew. So Aaron, come on over here. Jeff's knocking
I
over
almost
everything.
just destroyed the studio.
Welcome, Aaron.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
And welcome.
Thanks.
Come on a little bit closer. You're
good.
getting off to the
Good.
edge.
Cool.
You're good. Well, first of all, tell us like who you are and what you do and all of that stuff.
Yeah, so I'm our senior platform engineer. Kind of started here doing web stuff, but as the needs and the company changed, my role did as well. So myself and my team have been working a lot on account services and customer service tools and infrastructure support, which has been really fun.
And I'm sure that everyone who has ever put in a CS ticket has been seeing how quickly we're being able to process those things. It's not only due to like our amazing CS team. I want to give a shout out to Danielle. Thank you, Danielle. You're awesome. And of course, all of the amazing tools that you guys have been providing us. That makes it a lot faster, less sitting there manual work.
For sure. Yeah,
For
totally.
sure.
Thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about. I mean, unless Stephen, you have any questions. Margaret,
Well, I was just
but
going to say that, aside even from the CS tool and support that our
Yeah.
platform engineers provide, also they are laying the groundwork for a lot of cool, fun, fancy things we have planned for players to have available to them with their account page, the account services that are going to be
Oh
accessible.
yeah, we showed that.
Yeah.
We talked about that earlier in our news update. So definitely check out that news update. Aaron has been really great about supplying us information whenever we make those account changes. You kind of give like a little bit of a dev background on like why we're making those changes, which is nice.
Totally, yeah, and I think the big thing for account services, at least, is we wanted to provide a place for players to understand everything that's happening with their account. And I think previously we didn't necessarily have everything in one spot, and giving people a spot, especially as we roll into the MMO and do all these bigger pushes towards bigger initiatives, having a spot for them to interact with their account and see everything in one spot is super important.
Absolutely, and we have a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun stuff planned for players being able to show off their characters on a character page and being able to
Yeah.
interact with other players even through that medium as
Oh, for
well.
sure.
Having that accessible from a mobile application potentially in the future. Also, all of those things require groundwork to be laid early on so that the foundation is strong when we get to the point of providing those services to the player.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Totally.
Aaron, I want to be able to see all my equipment on my character.
Yes.
Like
soon.
Soon. I have so many things that I'm like, hey Aaron, can I have this thing? He's like, put in a Jira ticket. So let's talk a little bit about what your team as a whole has been up to. Obviously, we talked about like what your team and what you do.
Oh, for sure.
Just as a whole, what your team has been working on in general.
Yeah, and speaking on behalf of the engineering team, especially as we've been going into the playtests, obviously there's the account services stuff, but we've also been scaling the game infrastructure. So the big goal of these APOC tests has been obviously to make sure that infrastructure is ready for the MMO. So as we roll into more playtests and long-term the MMO, we obviously want the infrastructure for the game to be in a spot where it's as stable as everything else.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and one of the great things about the test last week was, while we were doing, the engineering team was doing a lot of work on the back end from our testing in December and January. We were able to, get a live production look behind the curtain of how does this hold up. And initially in that test, we did see some issues for our horizontal scaling as more and more users began to log into the game. And we were able to implement a fix relatively soon. I think it was about an hour after the initial launch of that test. That created a very stable atmosphere moving forward. And then now we can take the data that we learned and we can account for that for our next test and make sure that scalability is ready to go from the get-go.
If you're hearing crackling, it is not the mic. It is bacon with its candies.
Oh, bacon has candy?
No. It's like,
Yay!
I'll try to get this in camera.
oh gosh.
Oh, look at that! I got them both. Yes. No.
Hello, everybody. Hopefully, the technical difficulties have been resolved. If you're watching this on YouTube, like I said, you shouldn't even notice, really. So, Stephen, do you want to kind of mention what you were just saying again?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Keep getting cut off. Aaron says that it's because he's too handsome. So.
I find it ironic that we're discussing the quick fixes we put in for the technical issues we were having during the test during the time we're having technical issues on the stream.
I will mention that we do have a new stream box, so you might not hear like the crazy loud fan that was going on. Someone was like, it sounds like a leaf blower back there. We had like this tiny live stream box before, and now we have a new live stream box we did do testing yesterday for like 3 hours, but we didn't have any of these issues before. So just an FYI, that's might be what's going on here. So Steven, if you want to talk.
Oh, again. Okay. Third time's a charm. Let's do this again. So I was just saying that we were able to very quickly have the engineering team implement some fixes for issues that we experienced during the 12-hour test, and that was good to see. And that will have a much better, even better performance during our next test. So.
Yeah, and we were trying our best to do messaging properly. So hopefully you felt like you were never not sure what was happening. We had in-game messaging. We had our support channel that was answering questions. Our Discord, we were utilizing our news channels there and continually publishing to that, as well as trying to answer as many questions as we could. I know Toast and I are going to be implementing some changes for next tests and things of that, so that we don't have as much clutter going on. But all of that was really great to see and work through, and it kind of helped us just internally with our processes
for sure. And
too.
On the engineering side too, we were running a lot of profiling and stuff on the development server. So when stuff came up, we were able to see it pretty quickly and kind of hop on that in real time, which was really cool.
Yeah. And not having a lot of downtime was super handy. Yeah, so we're able to get stuff prepped, push it, and then just have people log in and log out and have it going forward.
I think we should probably, I think we still have issues.
We're still having issues.
Yeah. How are we doing?
If we should drop the stream and
drop it and
just redo.
Bring it back up?
Yeah.
We're live, by the way.
Okay.
Seems to be getting more stable.
Okay. Well, hopefully that fixes itself, guys.
Yeah, it is a like 30-second delay, so hopefully it's resolved.
Yeah. Okay.
Let us know, and we'll do our best. I know. Okay, cool. We'll continue as per usual on our end. We're also locally recording, so if nothing else, we can upload it to YouTube, and you guys can watch it there, hopefully, without any issues. So I think we talked a little bit about those things. Do you want to talk a little bit about like what went well, what you guys learned, and all of that process?
Totally, yeah. So we definitely learned that we have a lot more to do on our horizontal scaling for the game services. But I mean, we realized that because of the fact that we had all this heavy profiling on the back end, right? So again, we were able to see stuff and address it in real time. And the performance increases we saw based on the optimizations made over the last few weeks and the last few months were huge.
That's awesome. And I think players even noticed. We got a lot of feedback that where people were saying like, "Oh, I'm able to get the FPS that I think I should be getting."
Yeah.
I mean, I know that there were still some issues, but I know you guys are working on those and resolving them. So.
Yeah, and I think those are the big things we're kind of addressing.
I think the main
right
one was in the sky when people were like opening up their map.
Yeah.
That was the main one, and we're looking into that and resolving it.
Yeah, and there was, I think there was a client freeze crash that Steven mentioned. It was related to a socket connection timeout. But we were actually able to fix that by integrating a fix from Unreal Engine pretty quickly. Which again, because of that extra profiling on the server side, just really able to address that and get on top of it really fast.
So thank you to everyone who is helping us test. We really appreciate that. Yeah. And then of course, moving further forward. Kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the things you guys learned and where you're going with that.
For sure, yeah. Again, we definitely have a lot of work to do on the horizontal scaling of our servers. And not to get too technical with it, but the more space we have and the more bandwidth we have to funnel players through their matches is super important. And I think that's where we saw one of our core issues. The rest of the engineering team right now is focusing really heavily on that. So hopefully our next playtest will implement some of those features, and we'll hopefully see a lot more stability when it comes to matchmaking and getting people where they need to be.
Awesome.
Yeah.
One of the huge things you guys may have noticed in a difference between the testing that you may have been a part of in December, January, February, and the testing that was done last week was that your transition from the game lobby to the game match staging area was exceptionally fast, and that's because of some of the work that was done on the matchmaking side to pre-pool those servers up and spool them up in anticipation of the matchmaking kicking off. That was some work that was done over the past couple of months. That's very beneficial. It's also going to assist with the load time between instances in in the MMORPG, where you may enter those instances. It's going to be beneficial to utilize that type of tech there. So you may have noticed, it's like took maybe 10 seconds as opposed to previously it took about a minute in a previous test to get people in. That was a big success.
That all the tips that people are like, oh, I like the loading screen with the tips. The tips went by too fast.
Oh, I know, they went very fast.
So they are looking at a way possibly for you guys to look at the tips without having to be on the loading screen. So, and then also we know that we got a lot of feedback on the tutorial side. We'll talk a little bit about that later with the design team, but that is something that they actually have. It just was bugged, so it wasn't working during the test that you guys were part of. And then you guys also had some fun things that you learned that you wanted to talk a little bit about.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we found that players were not invulnerable and visible at the time starting portal, so they could kind of spam kill each other.
Oh no, that's what was happening because people were asking about that.
Yeah. So that again, we were able to address that and see that pretty quickly, but it's definitely kind of funny to watch play out in real time.
Not funny for us.
Not funny. Not funny at all for us.
On the community side, people are like, I died immediately. I don't understand.
And the loading screen was blocking other functions. Some of the initialization, which obviously caused the client to be frozen a little bit.
I guess any other things you want to talk about on the engineering side, Steven?
No, I
questions
think,
you have for Aaron?
How did our new account services handle during that test?
That was spectacular.
Yeah.
So that we did a lot of profiling on that. We were able to identify issues in some cases before people even knew they were having issues, patch those in pretty quietly.
And that was a significant difference in experience for the players who were present in our December testing as opposed to last week. In December, a large majority of the time, players were having difficulty even reaching the site, right? Coming back with a lot of 500 errors during December, and I don't think we had less than like 1% of.
We actually had one single fatal error throughout the whole test.
Wow.
That was addressed.
So that's incredible. That's a major props to the platform team
Yeah.
and kind of standing up a stable infrastructure that players could connect.
Shout out to Craig and Michael too, because they were a huge help.
They worked their butts off. On my front, I wasn't here for the December stuff because I started in January, but I'm like, oh, thankfully I don't have to do that. It sounds like madness.
The big takeaway was people were able to register successfully and log in, which is the fundamental, most important piece of the process. So,
And I guess like from the perspective of like someone who doesn't understand how that works, I know a lot of people are like, oh, that sounds like something that should be super easy. I don't know if you can talk about like the technical side of that and like why it's not easy.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we're ensuring a handful of people can get in and that we can track every little thing that they're doing. So there's so many pieces that go into that, from security to just the coding piece to the technical to the front end, what people are seeing. And most of our efforts were focused on that middle and back end layer of just making sure everything is functional.
And on the front end, we even updated all our error messaging, right? Like we went through, I know that Aaron put together like a list of all the errors, and our CS team and community team both like looked through that and re-updated a lot of those error messaging, and you guys updated that.
Yeah, and we also set up alerts around a lot of those errors. So customer service actually gets alerted when certain things happen on a user's account that won't be like account breaking, but might instigate a ticket, so they can hop on it before it becomes an issue. Yeah.
Yes, they know what's up. That's super helpful. So if you're seeing things like changing on your account, sometimes it can be just they're trying to fix stuff in advance for you.
Yeah.
Cool. That's all I got. Something else. All right, thank you so much,
Awesome.
Aaron.
Thanks, Aaron.
And representing the engineering team.
Of course.
We're trying to get new fresh faces on here, so hopefully you've been enjoying meeting all the different people on our team. Well, not all. Some people are like still really scared. Like we really want to get Jinsey on sometime. She's like very afraid. I know. We'll get her to come on. She does amazing work. Now we have Bacon, the Baconator.
By the way, for those of you who are, I notice there's still people that are experiencing some lag on the stream. Try refreshing the page. It looks like the stability is better now. So some of you are having that issue and some of you are not. If you are having that issue, try refreshing the Steam page.
Yeah, and we'll have it up on YouTube.
Page.
This is probably going to take longer, so the video might go up tomorrow because it actually we'll have to encode it. We'll have to edit it and then re-encode it, which is a little bit annoying, so just prepare for that. Probably will go up tomorrow. So Bacon, How
Hello.
you doing?
Good.
Welcome,
So this
Bacon.
is Michael Bacon.
Hello,
He is
hello.
our lead environment artist. We've introduced him a few times now.
Can we show the
My name's
fender
right there.
bottle?
We
Over
probably
there. Look,
shouldn't,
We
but
should
yeah.
show the fender bottle.
Oh,
We do not own this brand whatsoever.
This is
Just
not
an FYI.
advertising.
sorry.
We are not
Sorry.
advertising. We are not working with them. Although Fender.
How do you know I don't have an endorsement deal with
I'm
them?
just. Okay, so Bacon, talk to us a little bit about what your team has been up to. Not only just the environment team, but the character team as well.
I don't know how they're doing it there. No, I'm sorry.
Your job was to talk to them.
All right, awesome.
Yeah.
No, well, we did the test last week, so this whole month was a lot of optimization, a lot of fixes, and a lot of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, and then also doing work on other things that we can't talk about, like Castle Siege.
Well,
Yay.
you can talk a little bit about it, but not.
No.
I mean, we're gonna show some
Yeah,
stuff.
no.
We're gonna show some stuff, not too much, but we are gonna give you a little bit of some info on some things that they're working on. But I guess we can just put that up there, and you can talk over it if that works for you.
Sure, in a
Unless
little
there's
bit.
other
But
things-
I
oh, you
wanted
got
to
some
say
other
that,
stuff,
like,
okay.
we had the play test last week, which was a lot of fun, and I was killed by a lot of people
Oh,
in our
no.
Discord.
Oh no.
I was very upset about that.
Oh,
We
did they
need
know
to
that
get-
they killed you? What was your name?
Is his name
no.
Project?
What?
Yeah,
What's his name?
there's Krojack.
Krojack.
Yeah, Krojack
is
killed me
the
on the
person.
big, like, native, or the tribal bridge.
What?
Yeah.
Krojack.
Right in the head.
You
He's gonna
can't
go
kill
back through all his
developers.
footage and look.
What's wrong
I got
with you?
multiple killed by Combiguous. So,
Wow.
You know.
Did he make a meme for it?
Yeah, probably. I
I
don't
love
know.
that.
I haven't seen the meme, but I'm sure
I
it's
won
out
2
there.
matches.
I saw some people.
That's
That's good. I saw some people found the Sandal Shrine.
Oh,
Yes,
cool. That
they
was
found
good. That was
they found
fun.
the channel sign, and they also found the staging area sandal as well.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Sure.
So we're gonna gather their
We're gonna have to
information.
move those and get their information.
Yes.
No.
I have a meeting.
Now,
with
who built the
somebody
Sandal
that's-
Shrine area?
I believe that's
Tristan.
Tristan.
Was it Tristan put
Yeah,
together?
Tristan.
Nice.
He's gonna
Yeah,
move it to
that'd be
another area. So like.
Unfortunately,
next
though,
time.
like one of the places he put the sandals, I believe, I don't know, maybe it wasn't. I thought he put it in like one of the areas that were actually bugged.
Oh, they couldn't get
You
to.
No, they could
shouldn't,
get to it.
shouldn't be able to get to, and then did get to it. So maybe I'm wrong.
I don't think so.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just saw a bug.
Where
that looked
where
like
it is you can go to it and you can break the there's like a little like wood paneling, and you just break the paneling, and then there's like a tunnel
Oh,
that goes
gotcha,
down.
gotcha.
Yeah.
I thought like in the
It's not in a.
the
it's-
underrealm area there was a hole that he was able to get up. I thought maybe we put a sandal in there,
I don't think so.
but yeah, I think that was just a bug. Eee.
I can't believe people killed you.
Oh,
They've killed a lot.
They killed me a
Killed
lot.
me a lot.
We should have had you on a GM
Ribs
client
over.
so they couldn't like kill you or anything.
I didn't get
They're
to
just-
play until the end, and then I was in that final match with like the 200 people,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just like me and Danny fighting each other.
That's funny.
Wow.
I think there was like 4 of us at the end that were by the beach fighting each other. It was intense.
I did have a major contribution to the build last week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that was like the what was it? The
Little
name?
Warriors.
The name generator thing.
Oh,
Oh, the
Don't
band,
even,
no,
don't-
don't talk about
don't
that.
talk
about
we
that.
do not talk about that.
we have a new.
Not on stream. This is
naming
a
band.
I'm not going to say the
non-mature.
name, but I was saying I was a contributor.
No,
in
yeah,
making
you
sure
definitely,
that
you
system
definitely contributed
was
to that.
working.
He
well.
contributed to me going.
You
"Steven,
definitely contributed
Don't
to
we
that."
have a name
No.
filter? And he was like, "Yeah, we do." And then we looked at the name filter. I was like, "Why is this not on the name filter?"
Yes, that's true. But even more
we're
so,
updating it now.
you also put in some little animals and stuff on the map.
I did.
And I was noticing a lot of people were looking at it and say, "Oh my God, the Courier's in," and the little
I want a little mini
creepy
game
crawlies.
in the
Little creepy
staging
crawlies are
area where
mine.
you go and
Yeah,
grab.
And the couriers were
Okay.
Carson's, right?
Yeah.
Couriers are Carson, and you did the little creepy
Yeah, the
crawlies.
Creepy crawlies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was cool.
They're
was
really
cool.
awesome.
Yeah,
And
it was fun. It was nice watching that, like it add like ambient sort of.
Oh yeah.
so many
stuff.
people tried to kill them.
No, what's wrong with them?
I know, right?
A murder.
And then someone else was like, "No animal cruelty." Nice,
Yeah.
I like that. I was like, it was cracking me up. We were watching a lot of the streams. We were enjoying watching everyone play. We even watched some people who did YouTube content, and I think we've just been consuming as much as we can. Not only just visual content, but all of the feedback we've gotten on the forums. We've compiled a lot of that. We've sent it off to our team. We'll actually be talking to design about that. But environment, you guys have been pretty solid. Just a few bugs here and there where people getting stuck. But
Yeah,
you guys are
yeah.
trying to fix those and solidify those.
Do we have some art stuff to look at?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
do.
let's look at some art
Yeah,
stuff.
let's look at some art.
Yeah.
I love art stuff. So walk us through what we're seeing
So
on the
this is
screen.
concept art of Vec, of the Vec orc race. So we were kind of playing around with this, and These things go too quickly. I want to talk about the tents.
Oh wait, we can pause it. Can you
Oh,
pause
sorry.
it? No, we can't pause it.
Anyway, that's
Not
all right.
really, yeah.
All right. Anyway, we're these are they're kind of, I wouldn't say Mayan, but they're definitely kind of in this kind of flavor. All very stone temple-y, kind of celestial.
It's
sort
going
of
super fast.
Yeah, that's.
There we go.
Yeah, so we wanted like some interesting tent design, so we kind of went for some kind of crazier shapes, the silhouette language.
I know you're always giving feedback to the artist on like making sure that it fits the style
going
of those
super fast,
races.
Yeah. So we're trying to make sure that all the races have a very like a specific look and feel to them. And these guys, I think, are coming around cool.
It's okay.
Not going that fast.
It's going pretty fast.
But anyway, Renee is working on most of the concepts for this stuff. He's been just doing an awesome job on these.
Yeah.
We still got like more motif details that we have to inject into all this stuff, but this is sort of the base architectural style that we're looking at for them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's cool seeing all the different types of buildings. I think before last stream or last month, we were looking at some of the things that looked completely different. They were very nature oriented, and now we're looking at this, which is very like stone and structury.
Yeah, and this is kind of like one step
tribal.
kind of more. Yeah, it's like tribal, but also kind of alien-esque.
Yeah.
So we definitely
Well,
wanted
the
to push.
Vector sort of have that kind of feel.
Yeah,
that.
very celestial. Like,
Yeah, they're very mountainous, celestial. They kind of reach to the heavens for their guidance and power. And this reflects just kind of that mountainous nature. It feels like.
Oh,
Now
and
here's
so this is
Talk about it quick. It's gonna be gone.
this is Castle Siege. This is our boiling oil weapon that we'll be using.
Boiling oil weapon.
Yeah, you'll be able to place
So
on
this
top
is
of
a
walls
this is
and
a
pour it on people.
triggerable trap by the defenders in the castle siege. They can drop oil out of this on a AOE effect under the gate,
Oh, and then we're on the character stuff.
and we're on the character side.
Well, we can talk more about it whenever we're watching them later.
Yeah, so lots of fun stuff going on with Castle Siege with the weapons.
So these are some additional armors. Who's did this?
This is Imperial.
Atkins?
Yeah, this is
Is
Atkins.
that Atkins?
I think it's
Maybe
Atkins.
Keith or
No, this is
Atkins.
Keith.
Is it Keith? I think it looked like Atkins. Atkins.
Yeah, I think
No, it says Keith. We got
think it
two
might be
Keiths
Keith.
and an Atkins.
All right.
All right,
We'll find
we're
out
taking
after
a
the
poll
stream.
in chat. Who do you think it is?
These are some the concepts for those for the model that you saw.
Those are Jeff Delier's work. Really cool stuff. He's been doing really amazing stuff on character
I'm
armor
trying.
sets and things.
I know a lot of people were interested in seeing new, different types of armor, and we're definitely working towards that. Especially since what they've seen in the past was a lot of similar things with just emissives on top of that
Yeah,
and things of that
yeah.
sort. So now you're seeing like very
So
different.
now, here you get to see kind of the model itself and the textures for the chainmail, and then the different type.
Very micro. It's on a micro level.
Yeah, these are like the substance materials that they're using, which is really cool. And you could looking at how amazing they.
Yeah,
They're doing some crazy work. I mean, you got to see some of the screenshots that we took from in-game that with updated lighting and whatnot. It's crazy.
I could drink my drink without having to worry about the Fender logo for a moment. Good call.
And here's how they kind of go about making those.
That's cool. Substance. It's really nice. Fun.
It's so interesting. You never realize like how much goes into just like the little tiny, even just materials that get placed on top of the armor pieces themselves.
Look at all the screen time he gets for doing it.
I know, right? The concepts were just like.
There's those crazy concepts and stuff. I would just like shoot through them. Let's watch him like move.
You don't
like,
even
should be able to
lines
control
from
that
piece to
speed.
You
piece.
can who you move? Tristan. Tristan, this is your fault. No, just kidding. Tristan was awesome.
No.
We can. Well, those I think should not be in,
In
the
the
video.
future, we
form.
should capture a window on the OBS, the Windows Media Player window,
we can just
and
have
then we can
them-
just slow down the Windows Media Player.
No, we can just have them be images that we go to. And
Okay.
We go to the next one when
Sure.
we're ready.
You can still have it a video if you want, but just capture.
I don't think
the
it has to be in a video, in my opinion. Those are
Sure.
stills. They don't need to move.
How long is this gonna go on?
I don't know. We're just gonna turn this
I
into
mean,
a
it's cool.
seminar.
You know-
We're gonna turn the
Come
seminar
on.
on
Come on.
Substance Designer
That's
and
true.
see how to make
You
these.
too
things.
can make chainmail.
You too. Yeah, I like that.
Dude,
Chris,
can I
Chris
connect
is
the
like, if I
boxes?
was here, I would
Hey.
tell them all these
Just
cool
drag
things
these
and nerd out.
blueprints everywhere.
Yeah, I don't know if Can you move forward?
That's a pretty.
No,
crazy.
it's okay.
Okay.
This chainmail will be seen in the game. You will have armors made of this. And this is how it is created. Look at the different types of chainmail. That you look at this one. This is like a nanofiber.
That's
This is
true.
nanofiber chainmail. These are little tiny metal fibers that offer you protection for your character.
You know, poor Chris, he probably has like this whole detailing description of like why he what he wants to talk about.
And here you can see the nanofibers. Now our cloth. Cloth. Oh, it goes on top of the cloth.
That's nice.
This
Oh,
this
that
looks
looks
really
so
good though, to be
good.
honest with you.
Yeah.
I love the chain linking.
It's awesome.
It
I just
looks
don't know what to say
great.
about it as we sit here looking at it.
I like that one. Ooh. There we go. Coming cloth now.
Is that like cotton?
This is like a
Cotton?
some type of
Cotton blend.
no. This
Right,
is that
he's-
now we're in
he's-
leather. We've moved into leather.
Fiber.
This is leather.
Yeah, they've been working on a lot of materials. If you've been looking at any of the assets that we put out
shiny.
there,
Look at that.
like the armor that we're going to be putting out that's coming up, so we'll be showing some more of those as we get to that point. But also
Oh,
all of the
oh, we have a
saddles
horse.
and,
You got a horse.
and
You got a horse.
barding that they're creating too. They need these types of materials for.
So this actually is one of the horses from Kickstarter, isn't it?
Mhm, yes,
Yes. Which one is this?
I think this is the obsidian one.
The Obsidian. So you can see the creation of the Obsidian horse. Those of you who own an Obsidian horse, you can see this being made right now by, and this
In
is
real
Jinsey,
time.
right?
This is going on right
This
now.
is real time. She's
This is
making it right
live.
now. We're plugged into Jinsey's computer. Look at how fast she is.
That is amazing.
Unbelievable.
I'm gonna have this game done.
We'll have every
tomorrow.
cosmetic next week.
If only it worked that fast. She actually sent over a lot of footage. We're obviously not going to show all of that. We're just showing some cool bits and pieces of it. But we are going to show off like the creation process of a lot of these different types of horses as well. And I think after this gets finished, you'll be able to see like some of the final product, which is really amazing. She's done awesome work. As you saw in our previous game update, we showed you some of the horses, and if you watched our video that we put out about the horses, you saw the creation process of the horses and you saw them in the MMO. Obviously the animations are still being a work in progress, but you're at least able to see what it looks like in the world.
The dragon was dope.
Yeah,
The dragon was real.
that was a different video, but yeah.
Oh, different video.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting
That's
my
a
videos
wormling,
mixed.
not necessarily a dragon type.
What's a wormling?
The
That,
wormling.
that was this month, though, right?
Yeah, that
I
was
can comment on
Yeah,
it?
you can comment
Are we
on
talking
it.
about the dragon? and
Yeah, the Gamescom video.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was a wormling? I thought it was a dragon. Maybe it was a wormling.
think
Baby
it's a-
dragon?
I think it's a large wormling.
A large
So
wormling.
this is the
But wormlings don't have hands. They just have the feet. Okay. Ooh, what's this one?
this is the
That's pretty dope.
not a wyvern. Wyvern have like the weird tail things. Yeah, this is amazing. This is another one of our Kickstarters. So we have all of the
So you guys are starting to
Horses that
see
she's working
these come to life in the game. Models being completed, ready for you to ride off into the sunset and discover the horrors of the unknown of Vera.
these aren't completely done yet. They still need an
There's
effects
effects,
pass.
yes, effects
So
needs to be
there's-
done. There's like hooves that'll have like flames on them, more glowy effects on the eyes. This is the Prime horse. Yeah, this is the Prime horse that was a PAX exclusive. It's gonna have like little feather effects as it runs. When it dashes, little feathers are gonna fly off. Maybe that'd be kind of cool.
And if you look really closely, you can see the material on the horse is just like this nice sheen,
It's
sparkly.
lush,
Yeah.
lush material.
My favorite thing about this horse is the braids. I'm like
Oh.
really excited to see braids animating. I don't know why, but
Oh, the armor too.
yeah, the armor's
armor set's
really cool.
Yay.
Yeah, and then you can kind of see it in the darkness versus.
This is the Runic Steed. Those of you who own the Runic Steed from Kickstarter, you can see now it with its armor and whatnot, and now you can't see it because it's gone.
It's all gone.
Dude, we'll switch all of the still assets to be images that we can click through.
Yay.
So we can talk about them a little longer going forward in the future.
Yay.
But yeah, let's actually go back a little bit
Oh.
and talk about the Castle Siege stuff, because I think you were in the middle of talking about the oil,
You said
the
no.
boiling oil.
Oh, the boiling oil.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then got cut off because we moved into the next thing.
Sure. So that
I just know players are going to want to know about that. So.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, there are traps and/or mechanisms that are available to both the defending and the attacking side. The attackers tend to have, siege weaponry, whereas the defenders have more trap-oriented things. And players will be able to activate those at certain moments in time to affect, the opposing side.
Which is really, I'm excited. I'm prepared for throwing it over like a wall
No, it's
onto
working.
people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I overheard Jim and kind of talking about that yesterday.
Oh, yeah?
And all the fun that they're going to have with that. Just specifically, boiling people to death with boiling oil. It's going to be great.
What?
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 What? Are we not killing people in this game?
We're not boiling them, bacon.
Are you sure?
Yeah, we're not boiling them. What are you going to put a decal
What are
on
you
their
gonna do with
character
boiling
of
oil?
skin bubbling and
What are you
stuff?
going to do with boiling oil then?
No.
What are they going to do? I don't know.
That'd be really graphic.
Unbelievable.
All right.
We have to
Okay.
change the rating
I
of
hope
the
the
game.
ESRB isn't watching our stream.
I was like, we have to change the rating of the game.
All right. Well, I'll relay the news, the unsettling news to them about how we can't boil.
Oh, okay. I was like, what's the unsettling news? Any other things you want to kind of bring up or talk about? Or Stephen, if you have any added questions from Mr. Bacon?
Well, Devin's been working on a new terrain for the Desert Castle Siege. It looks amazing.
Nice.
So
That's
we're
always
really
good.
excited about that.
I know on the animation side, they just got, or they will be getting, or they may have gotten, I don't know if they got it or will be getting it, but we're going to be changing the animation for how players in APOC can leap, basically the lunge attack a lot of people use to traverse terrain, get up on top of buildings and whatnot. Moving forward, we're actually going to do a check to see if there is an opponent in your forward arc, and if there's not, you'll play an alternate animation that's more parkour, leapy, jumping
cool.
feel
But not
to it.
wuxia.
But not wuxia.
Because I was like, oh, and then Steven's like, not like that.
Right. So you'll play that jumping animation, which will look much better, and we'll be able to take that kind of check perhaps even into the future with the MMORPG and allow that to kind of get some more jumpy moviness perhaps with certain classes that might have such abilities.
And then we have a question that came. We had a question that came in that's not pertinent necessarily to what we're discussing, but the question was from Irvin Lloyd, and they wanted to know: will the hardest raids be persistent across all rounds, so that a world first race for the hardest raid will be possible?
Rounds?
Grounds?
What?
What did you, I never said the word grounds.
I think you said rounds.
Rounds like that.
Will the hardest raids be persistent across all realms?
Oh, realms. Oh,
Realms.
I see. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Will they be persistent across all realms?
Yeah.
They'll be persistent across all realms. They'll be unique to the realm that they're in, right? Each realm will have its own
So if you have world first, it will be specific to your.
to your realm, and then we'll likely, as a company, we'll shout out the first to succeed on any realm against a certain raid, and
Yeah.
they'll live on in the history of, we'll probably incorporate something about the team or guild or people that were involved in that in perhaps even some lore moving forward in different chapters of the game as well.
That's intense.
So yeah.
Interesting.
We have another question from Necronix, who wants to know: can per se one side poison the other side's water source to gain some sort of small advantage? They poison the water hole. I don't think there's going to be that necessarily
So
for castles.
I wouldn't. Okay, so I wouldn't say that. Oh, you're talking about Castle Sieges or the MMO?
I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think
so.
the MMO.
With regards to the MMORPG, right, there will be certain missions that people who are at odds with one another may have, and that could relate to open world objectives. One of those missions could have a narrative or story behind, like influencing the water, source or something. But you can't just go up and free will, poison people's water sources. But it's possible that something along those lines would be present in
like
some
a
type of
quest line.
objective quest line.
Yeah,
Exactly.
which is cool.
It would be
Yes.
funny if you put it in Castle Siege, but they were poisoned slowly.
Right.
So they just
That's not
kind
a
of
bad
ran around
idea,
and
right.
they
Like-
just get more.
Perhaps water is, or maybe you have like a mana source that you have to replenish, a mana reservoir that's kept inside the keep, and if some rogue can make it to that and poison it or something, yeah, that'd be interesting.
I want to see Jeff's face right now.
I know, Jeff's
you're
just like, hello, darkness, my old friend.
Oh, that's So funny. Okay. Any other things you want to share with us, Bacon? That your
No.
team's working on, that
No.
you're excited about?
Well, there's lots
I mean, I
of
know
stuff
you
we're
want to
working
talk
on that I'm
about
excited about.
Castle
There's
Siege,
lots of stuff I can't talk about.
Yay!
Yay!
I think it'd be fun. to talk
Bacon,
about.
thank you for the candy.
Oh, you're welcome. You want some more?
Oh, maybe one more.
One more? All right, you like the blue ones, right?
Yes, I do like the
Oh,
blue
there's a
ones.
spider.
What?
That
Oh,
just
I don't want the
came out of
candy
your-
now. No.
It just came out of your thing.
Oh my gosh.
It come out of my
Putting
thing?
it on
Are
the
you
thing.
touching it?
Yeah, you put it on the scene.
Why is this happening?
White.
Oh no!
Where is it going? Okay.
It's this little guy right here. He's fine. You think
It's like a little
That
daddy
looks like a
long leg.
brown recluse or something.
No, it's
No.
like a daddy long leg.
That is definitely not.
It didn't
animal
bite
legs.
him.
The
It
more
has long.
translucent they are, the
It's gonna-
dangerous they
Hi,
become.
buddy.
He's catching a ride. Oh.
All right.
All right.
Ian, are you afraid of spiders?
No, I love spiders.
Oh, okay. I was like,
Yeah, he's just this little guy. Yeah, he's like a daddy long legs, like a little baby one.
Yeah, it's a little baby.
oh,
Alright.
he's like
a
a
little-
wreck dude.
That's a lot, lots of wildlife in here.
Yay.
Steven's so great. All right, we're gonna bring on Brian Ferguson from the
Thanks,
design team.
Bacon.
Thank you so
Bye,
much,
Bacon.
Okay.
Oh, that was great.
Back to work. Time is money.
Spider whisperer over there. Baconator.
Welcome, Brian.
Brian, scoot John in a little bit closer. Make sure you talk that way towards the mic. Welcome. How are you doing?
Doing good.
Tell us a little bit about what you do on the team, on the design team.
I'm a gameplay designer. Surprise.
Yay.
I'm blessed. I get to work on really cool stuff. Right now I'm
Fun
working on
stuff.
combat,
And make sure you speak
itemization,
up,
and
so-
I'm working on combat, itemization, and destruction right now.
Awesome.
Yeah, all the
Which
fun
are all
stuff.
the fun stuff that
Yeah.
everyone cares about, for sure. So talk to us a little bit about what your team in general has been working on this month, and then we'll go into the playtest and how that data has helped you guys.
Well, we've been getting ready for the playtest, like looking at our balance, making sure that weapons are fitting in the right categories that we want them to make sure there's some asymmetrical balance going on. Like, gives people interesting choices in how they approach fights. Yeah, it's been really busy just getting ready for the test, and the test was really awesome. We got to see what happens whenever actual good players get a hold of our game, how the balance all looks, how our stability looks, how our loot balance looks.
Also, kind of
Awesome.
looking at the melee interaction with ranged, right, and seeing where the cutoff is there of efficacy between melee players and approaching a ranged player per se, seeing how that feels, right, and even the projectiles, the speed of the projectiles, the drop of the projectiles, the efficacy, range, damage, fall off, all of those things I noticed you guys have been working on recently. And all that carries forward with us to the MMORPG, right? As we gain data and you guys start to parse through that data on the design team, you get to take from that different approaches we will have for our hybrid combat system.
Yeah, it's really awesome that we get the opportunity to basically make another game first, because everything that we learn from the combat we're going to be able to apply to the MMO. So we won't really make newbie mistakes when we get to the MMO. We've already gone through the process. We already know what works and what doesn't work.
Right.
So we're learning from that constantly. And yeah, what we're going to be delivering with the MMO combat is going to be a second iteration of what we're working on right now. It's going to be a more polished, better version. So the end result will really pay off.
Awesome. And then you wanted to talk a little bit, I guess we already kind of talked about the combat balance aspect of things. You want to talk about itemization and how that worked and what you guys learned from playtest.
Yeah, we noticed some weaker POIs, places where loot didn't really feel as good. So we've been going through and buffing those up, making sure it's more interesting across more areas of the map. There's more reasons to explore and check out there. I've also been adding some Easter egg chests to like hidden rooms and buildings. So there's
I found one of those.
More
I
reasons to blow
broke
stuff
like
up.
a wall, and inside the wall, underneath the stairs, was a chest.
Mhm.
So I was like, "Where is that sound coming from?" And I broke the wall. I was like, "This is such a random place for it to be." That's pretty cool. And I know you guys are probably gonna do things like that in the MMO as well, and working on little. I know that itemization for MMO stuff is kind of like your jam. So Brian comes from like a background of like working at EverQuest 2. If you ever played that game before, and you did a lot of itemization in that as well.
systems design, a lot of itemization and trade skill stuff.
Yeah. Trade skill stuff. I know artisans are out there.
Yeah, itemization in an MMO is a lot different than in the Battle Royale. You gotta kind of have like a proper loot treadmill for people to get on, and also make sure there's accessibility, so if people are coming in later into the progression, they still have a way to get to the top if they want to.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to add on to that, Steven.
Yes, itemization is definitely, probably the most important chase that all MMO players experience. It is a direct correlation to your power and efficacy late game, and your ability to exert your will on others potentially, especially when the PvP game scenario as well. So, we are excited to kind of utilize data that we collect from the use of skills in APOC and see which has the highest accuracies and the most utilization there within the game, and kind of derive from that certain placement data for those skills that will exist then in the MMORPG among the class, depending on where in its skill tree that thing's going to lie.
Especially since you're going to be able to augment those items even further.
100%. And the ability for us to even utilize, some of the augment skills that we intend to incorporate in the MMORPG, having that be a testing ground or test bed in the different modes of APOC as well as a first trial.
Awesome.
Yep. Yeah, we've been rebalancing the ability cooldowns and durations, making sure everything is a little more balanced. There's more actual choice at the higher skill levels. So it's not just, hey, grab catfall boots and bounce around. There's like, what kind of kit am I trying to build? And I'll try to itemize accordingly to fulfill that fantasy.
And you're looking at the ones that maybe people aren't using and kind of giving those the same treatment so they feel good. And I think like you're going to see those type of things happening in the MMO balance with itemization and things of that sort as well. And especially once we get into Castle Siege too. And I know you guys have been working on cool abilities in regards to that.
Yes, been making some awesome abilities for Castle Siege. Don't think we can talk about that much yet, but
yeah.
I'm really looking forward to Castle Siege. I think it's going to be a ton of fun.
And then destruction. That's really fun. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we've been improving our destruction system. We're converting over to a new system that has better effects and sounds. So it just, everything when you blow it up, it just looks and sounds amazing. And a lot of credit to our visual effects guy, Jim, and audio guy, Adam, for making that all look and sound amazing.
And the other cool thing about the destruction also is that people will get a first chance to see that in APOC as well, which will be present in the MMORPG, particularly when it comes to castle sieges and node sieges. One of the things that I really enjoy about the new destruction system and how that'll take place in the MMORPG is previously in MMOs I played, you have sections of structures that have a health pool, and as that health pool changes, it may either swap out the mesh and have a more destructed state mesh, or it might have, a decal or layer that goes over the material to kind of show false destruction. Our destruction is real pieces actually chunks coming off of that, and that's pretty cool to see.
I know that Bacon's really excited about that stuff too, because they've been testing a lot of things. Obviously, we don't want to show too much yet on that front. Still finalizing things, but
it's really impressive to me. It's like the performance that we're getting while that's all going on. It still runs smooth. Like, while the nodes are changing levels, while things are blowing up. It's really awesome what our engineering and our team have done.
Yeah, Brian, how much FPS were you getting?
Well, on my home machine, about over 100 FPS at all times. At work, a little bit weaker processor, around like 70 plus. So.
Which is also very good, because as we've spent additional, time kind of optimizing both the assets, the, range differences in the LODs, the HLODs that are present, the ability to kind of take a beautiful environment with lots of players on screen and make that playable, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of the holy grail, is having very nice graphics that also performs well, right, with designs that complement it. So, those things are cool to see as a testing ground in APOC for the MMORPG, and collecting the data not just from the players, but on the server side as well, for the tests that we've had last week.
And then you wanted to talk a little bit about the horses and what you guys... I mean, a lot of people saw the horses in this playtest. In the past playtest, you might not have noticed, but they were there. There was a lot more of them, so you could actually utilize them. But you've been making some changes even from that.
Not me in particular, but our team has been working on new summon animations and new sounds and new visual effects whenever you summon and gather the horse, so that it's more interactable when you use it.
And also the movement of
Yeah,
using
the
it.
movement is a little bit different now. We're still working on it, but we actually have free look camera on mounts now, which is super, super nice. So you can look around while running around.
Yes, I saw that Alex showed me, some of the work that he had done on the camera for the mount, and it definitely feels much nicer. I love always watching whenever I'm on a horse, kind of getting that side profile with the camera and then seeing it, just doing the run, the trot, the
Yeah.
gallop, whatever. And it's cool to see that that's going to be present in the next test.
And anything else that you want to talk about, how the playtest helped us, or what you're on for the MMO and all
The
that?
playtest was really everything. I mean, without players actually getting in and testing it with us, we don't, like, we're guessing about where we want things, but how it actually plays in reality is what matters. So really awesome getting all that data and all those experiences and all that feedback from players and talking about that later, putting it all together and deciding what we're going to do. It really, really
I
helps
know
us.
you guys have been having lots of long meetings. I've been seeing you locked up in here discussing a lot of things, but
Fruitful
awesome.
meetings.
Yeah, that's good. And I think that wraps it up for this. We're going to move on to our Q&A section.
Yay.
So we're actually going
Thank
to
you,
bring
Brian.
on, thank you, Brian. We're actually going to bring on Lieutenant Toast.
Okay, I have her right here. Hold on, be careful. Lieutenant Toast, welcome to the stream.
How you doing?
We're doing great. Why do you sound like Tally? Hey guys.
Toast is going to come in. She's actually going to take my spot, but we can kind of just like chat a little bit if you want, quick. So I have the privilege of working with Sarah all the time. She's amazing and awesome. And I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about like kind of what you do on the
Sure.
team before you get into the Q&A stuff.
Sure, my name is Sarah Flanagan, aka Lieutenant Toast. I was gonna eat myself,
Do you wanna eat
but
yourself?
I was gonna
I didn't bite it.
little bit of cannibalism. I mean, we can share here, right down the middle.
Oh yes.
You each get an eye.
Anyways.
Don't eat the eye though.
Oh, the eye.
Don't eat the eye.
It has eyelashes too.
It does.
Aw.
Yes, my googly eyes have eyelashes. I found googly eyes at home.
They were actually like very feminine googly eyes. I was like, that's so cute.
Yes. Anyways, like I said, my name is Sarah Flanagan, also known as Lieutenant Toast. You'll see me in chat and Discord, wherever it is. You'll see my handles. I am senior community manager here, so mostly what that means is I serve as the handhold between you guys and Steven and the team
Yay,
here. So,
liaison.
Liaison, yes.
It has been so nice to have her here.
Yes, so every
I've
time
enjoyed it.
there's a playtest and there's an FAQ, I'm helping get all the questions set up for that. Anytime we do Q&A sessions during live streams, I help gather questions from that and just keep the communication going back and forth between you guys.
A huge help.
Yes.
An unbelievable help. I can't tell you before Sarah came on board. Unfortunately, I was tasked with most of that, and that often was the first thing that fell to the wayside when other stuff got busy. And I'm sure you guys in the community have noticed that interaction and are very appreciative of it as well,
Yeah.
as we all are here as well.
Yeah, and I think from my perspective too is like I want community interaction to be one of the core things that you guys experience, and having somebody who can just focus on that is really nice.
Yes, Desparu on Twitter says, Toast is amazing. Stephen, tell her the community loves her.
Aww.
Aww.
Thanks, guys.
Yes, I tell her this every day. I'm always
Aw.
so thankful of everything.
All
So
right.
she's gonna take my spot.
I hate eating on stream, but I had to do a little light
Bye,
cannibalism.
Margaret.
We're gonna bring Jeffrey on. And,
That's the first time I've said that on stream.
Bye,
said Margaret. You
By
always call
Margaret.
me
No,
Meg.
by Margaret.
Oh yeah, you have.
Yeah,
never
normally I
said
do the whole
that.
time. Thanks
All
for
right.
keeping it toasty for me.
Yeah,
Oh,
no
it's
problem.
toasty.
Yeah. All right. So I guess now I get to take over the
You
host.
scooted away from me.
No.
I feel
Here,
left
we'll come-
alone.
Come on in. We'll come in. All right. So for the last portion of the live stream, we're gonna kick it on over to our Q&A.
Q&A.
So these are all questions that were gathered on the forums. Thank you guys for submitting them. We put them up. I know some of you had a whole bunch of questions, which, while it's awesome, only one, please. So in the future, if you want to make sure that your question gets on the list, please make sure there's only one. So without further ado, I'm not going
Does
to
anybody
eat
want
and
that?
read
No,
questions.
I'm good. I'm just
No.
gonna crinkle the
Oh, you
wrapper.
crinkle it.
Gently.
Oh, yeah, but you
Just
gotta
gonna
get close to the
I'll
mic.
crinkle it over here.
Without
Okay.
further ado, the first question comes from Nagash on the forums, or Nagash.
Or
He is
Nagash.
really into Nagash, maybe. Very necromancy, very much into
Or
necromancy.
Nagash.
He asks, do we have any news on the remaining classes, Summoner, Rogue, Warrior, or Bard? So he wanted to know a fact about Summoner, Rogue, Warrior, or Bard. So haven't heard about yet.
News on that is that you can expect in the future to have blogs on those classes,
Yeah.
which will explain a lot.
We're planning on releasing those as we
Yes.
kind of finalize details.
But I think it would be a severe disservice for us to just start spouting out information here on stream on those classes, rather than having that in a nice, presentable, and very eloquent and fulfilled fashion that a blog can present.
It'd be awesome though.
Yes.
Fair enough. All right, next one is from Realty Girl, who asks, do you currently have some kind of plan for adjusting or reducing the forward movement on the lunge attack to make melee combat less floaty? This sounds like it was for Apocalypse.
That's funny because
We've been addressing that sort of
in meetings.
Yeah, in meetings, lots of meetings.
And we did come away with some things we're going to try out.
Yep, we have to try them out. It's a thing that we've been playing with for a really long time in order to kind of really nail down, the difference between making something kind of exciting and fast and powerful, but also make it feel rooted and relatively realistic. Because I think when people are talking about floaty, they're talking about like that sense of I've got a grounded character that has weight. So we're kind of playing, on that line.
So
and
you would
trying
say that
to-
was definitely feedback that you
Oh,
already
yeah,
saw during the playtest?
100%. That's been the primary topic in at least the last 3 design meetings we've had over this week.
So we've got like 5 or 6 things that we're going to be trying and playtesting here internally until we find something that kind of really feels right. And once we do, then
And remember, that particular question is the entire purpose of APOC, is to collect this feedback data and for us to implement changes accordingly as we see fit to prepare for the hybrid animations and interactions and design that combat for the MMORPG Alpha 1 will have.
it'll all inherit from what we're doing right
Correct.
now. So
All right, this next one is up from XLC, who asks, are there plans to have similar Apocalypse tests with squads enabled in the future? And will you be reusing Steam?
There are definitely plans.
yeah, squads is a big part of sort of the APOC. It's testing grouping and partying and making sure that we can get voice chat to work across
Absolutely.
various
And I know
different places.
I know we said that there would be squad in the last test last week. But at that moment in time, we were really focused around, the horizontal scaling that we needed to address very early in the test, and then addressing some of the server crashes and client disconnect / freezing as well. So we really didn't we just didn't get to the squad testing. We do have squad ready to test, and we will be likely seeing that in the next test.
Okay. And the second portion was, will we be reusing that? So can folks plan to use Steam for other future
Yes, we will
tests?
be using Steam in the future for Apocalypse. Absolutely.
Okay.
And just to be clear on that, the plan for Steam in the last test was that was a beta, a single day 12-hour beta test, right? The Steam page went up and it came down pending the next test.
All right. This next question is from Zilch. This is your follow-up question from last time, Zilch. This one's from you. Will there be positions of power within religions that players can hold, such as apostle or pope, that can influence their religion and the religion's goal?
100% there will be titles
Yes.
that people can achieve. Whether or not they'll be Pope or Apostle.
They probably won't be
They
Pope.
will not be Pope.
It will certainly not be Pope.
Yeah. But there will be titles that players will be able to achieve within their religion system, and with those titles will come benefits such as potentially powers, participation in certain events, unique access to different types of materials and or items, and quest access.
Yeah, and when you're talking about like that sort of agency in kind of directing the direction of that religion, that's sort of more of a stretch goal for us. It probably wouldn't be something that we do in the first iteration. It might be an expansion thing, or a big update kind of thing.
Yes.
It's something I would love to do, but again, like that requires a lot of content to be built around it, and we already have a ton of content to build. So think of that as more of like a stretch goal. It's a place we want to go, but it's definitely not going to be something that
I noticed
we have.
somebody in chat just said, what about cult leaders?
Oh, we've talked about that.
We've talked about
We
that.
have some ideas on
You
that.
may see something come in the future Divine Node article that talks a little bit about the
There's
more
some fun stuff we're going to do.
the
with
more
that.
counterplay there between the primary religions and the lesser known ones. It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Yes. Very fun. All right. Next one up is from Cymex, who asked, did enough people participate in the recent playtest to really hammer the servers?
It sure did.
Yes,
Our
we-
servers got hammered.
Very good.
Yes, we did get a lot of people.
Yes, I think you mentioned yesterday how we gathered so much data, and you kept saying
So much data.
Okay.
We actually gathered more data than we can actually parse through, and our data servers are actually struggling to kind of retrieve that data. So that's one of the things we'll be working on is cleaning those things up and making it easier.
This one is kind of
What?
tied to the last one as well. Was there a question from chat?
He's just laughing.
Okay.
You said we got the servers hammered, and somebody said, "I wish I were those servers."
This is a really appropriate PG stream.
No, like drinking, right? Drinking.
Is that what they were?
I think so.
Okay, I hope it was that.
Right? When you get hammered, you drink a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And then next up is from Nelyura, who asks, how do you feel the testing on the 20th went, and did you get useful data from it for the continuation of the MMORPG? So how did the testing for APOC help them?
I think we said this already in the stream, but
Yeah.
the testing went fantastic, right? It was a mix of things running really well.
You bring it up again because earlier when the stream was cutting out, a lot of people may not have been able to hear it.
No, that
so
totally
that's why I
makes
bring
sense.
it back up.
You know, a lot of things went really well for us. Stuff that we expected to go well did go well. This is why you can't read the stream while we're on the stream.
I'm so sorry. I'm not gonna read it.
And then, you know, the things that, you know, there were things that we were looking for that we weren't sure about, and we got answers to those things. So it really went kind of exactly how we wanted it to go. It gave us some things to work on going forward. And yeah, all the data that we get from that, all the things that we've learned from that, all go into the next phase, which will be Alpha 1.
All right, next up, we have a question from Jerem, or Yerem perhaps, who asks, how do you feel about content so hard that only a small percentage of people playing will ever get to complete it? And is content this hard something you would like to see in Ashes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So we like it and we want to see it.
We like it and we want to see it.
Okay.
I mean, think about it like this, right? So when that content comes into being, right, during the chapter of the game's life where that content is the top, you know, whatever percent of players that can complete it, eventually new chapters will come, right? Things will expand, levels may get higher, skills may, you know, additional skills may be seen. And that what once was the highest content might begin now to trickle down into a broader audience for the game. But initially what we want to do is, you know, for a game to be, I mean, one of the components of a game being very interesting for users, for players, is a drive or chase to achieve something that is difficult to achieve.
Yeah.
Right? And we want to have that difficulty there.
Purpose of playing games.
Exactly. A lot of, and we've said this early on, and we know you guys share our, you know, vast majority of you share our opinion on this, is that when you make the experience bland and achievable by everyone, right, then the achievement doesn't really feel like an achievement.
It doesn't mean much.
It doesn't mean much, right? So we want to make sure that there are very difficult things to do so that when you end up doing them, you feel like you've accomplished something.
I just did something rad.
Yeah. Now, but ultimately, on the flip side of that coin is, we also want to create content that we know the majority of our players will have have the opportunity to experience, and that's why I explained the progression of the game into new chapters, and what was once the limited audience becomes a broader audience, and something new comes out that is high achievement.
And it's also about community too, right? Like we have tons of different types of players, right? And we want to make sure that we have content for all of those types of players, because all those players together create a really awesome community. And so that's part of it too.
You know, not everyone has 8 hours every day
Right.
to play
Right.
and go all
We
the way
still
to
want
the
you to
very
have a lot of
end.
fun.
Yes.
Right. Maybe you've only got a half an hour here and there to play. We still want you to have a good time. All right, next one is from Chaos Data, who asks, will I be able to minimize my selected tab target abilities in MMORPG if I would prefer to focus on action combat?
Yes.
That is the goal.
That is the goal. The goal is that you choose which abilities you want, and those abilities are action or tab, and that you can build your character around a playstyle.
Yes, and the reason why, you know, APOC's testing became so relevant to creating that hybrid type system where players have the agency to select either predominantly action-based skills or tab targeting skills, is because we need to collect as much data as possible on all of the action-based skills so that we can formulate a combat style that will be fun and engaging and not cumbersome when merging those two very different tempo-based systems together.
All right. Next up from Magic Man, we have how much of action combat will require manual aiming in the MMORPG? Similar to what we've experienced in Apocalypse or something else entirely?
That'll be pretty much what you see in Apocalypse. It'll be really, really, really close to whatever the final sort of iteration of that is.
Yeah, and again, we know we're collecting that data, and right now we can say it's likely going to be very close to that, but that data is going to influence how we implement.
Right.
For sure. And then next up, from Roxozan asks, do you plan to add any improvements to fighting animation?
Yeah, that's a thing that we are continuing to work on. Again, this is still technically like a project that is not even in alpha yet.
Right.
So there's a lot of polish. There's a lot of, subsequent things that we need to do to bring everything up to the final level that we want it to have at. But we're not there yet.
And we know that
iterate.
we know there's feedback from those of you in the community who question why the term beta is applied to Apocalypse, even though the MMORPG project, is not even in alpha yet. And the reason for that really comes down to kind of how we see access being granted, right? When we have testing for Apocalypse, we want everybody we can get involved. And in that scenario, I kind of consider beta to be accessible to all. If it were an alpha, I would consider that more restricted to specific individuals and or players that are whitelisted to participate in those alphas, so to speak. So we kind of use that beta term for Apocalypse, even though the project in general is in a pre-alpha state still.
All right. Well, this is from Greek on the forums who ask, will the MMO feature any mouse over spell functionality where you can cast target while hovering over a nameplate, or will I need to click and target?
So again, that's sort of the differentiation between the two different systems, the action and the tab-based system, right? The action-based system will be reticle-based. You'll hover over the character and your weapon will shoot a thing that goes in that direction. And whether that person is still there under the reticle when that projectile hits will determine whether you hit or not.
And there will also be, mouse-oriented skills as well, specifically with regards to like certain AOEs. You'll be able to select a option where when you initiate the cast of a spell, if it's an AOE templated targeted ability on the ground, you will not have to click again with your mouse. It'll just go where your mouse is at. Right. So specifically,
we'll be throwing you guys some options like that, just to kind of make things feel right for the kind of player that you are.
For sure. All right, this question is from Wololo, also on the forums. Wololo. Sorry, I have to do it correctly. Will the estimated TTK, time to kill, be longer in Castle Siege as compared to the Battle Royale mode?
The answer is pretty much yes on that. Each class will have its own health pool. They will be differentiated based on that. Some classes will have a much higher time to kill than other classes based on whether you're a tank or not.
Right. The classes, what's different between the Battle Royale mode and the Castle mode is that these classes will come with predefined stats such as hit points, armor values, and that will create the more tank DPS support-oriented triad.
Right.
All right. Next up, we have from Cadwin who asks, will we be able to find hidden locations or viewpoints on each region of the map to unlock that region's details or to earn achievements?
Yes, there'll be some other things involved in that too, especially when we're talking about some of the different types of nodes that there are. We have this idea of a cartographer's guild and being able to bring, sort of information that you find out in the world and bring it back to the library.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
We want exploration. I am an exploration player. And I think it's really important that exploration characters have those.
I am an exploration player.
I believe that.
I just prefer to conquer when I explore.
Yeah, so you're going through and killing
I'm doing
things.
multiple
You're like, I'm in a new area.
Right.
Well,
Why go back?
Right.
Just conquer as you explore.
You're Alexander.
Building,
yes.
yes.
I sent a picture of the deer the
Yes,
other
the
day.
deer,
I
exactly.
swear I did not kill that.
I know, I believe you.
Yes.
I believe that you killed the deer.
I did not.
You look so guilty though.
Very guilty. All right. Our next question is from Insomnia, who asks, how will you handle armor for the special skins such as Fire and Frost or Demonic and Angelic? Will it be based on your base race? So these were the Fire and Frost skins, the Demonic and Angelic. If you wear armor on it, is the armor going to look based on that skin or just based on your base race?
what will happen is those skins will have a base race mesh that they are most closely aligned with. So for example, the ice and or fire skins may represent a character model that is the shape and size of a human, in which case the armor adorned on that model would more be representative of a human mesh. And the angelic one might be that of a Renkai or something, or orc in size, and they would then adopt the armor there. Now, we don't know for sure if that's going to be the case. There might be a unique one that's for that, but probably not. It'd probably be one of the existing character model races.
All right, this question is from T-Elf, who asks, will there be an auto walk option that moves you forward, say for those with limited mobility or accessibility? Like
I'm
for folks with
almost certain there will
arthritis
be
or
some
something
kind
else.
of auto run.
Absolutely.
Not the kind where you click on it and then your character runs to a quest and then
No,
finishes that
not the
quest
boot.
and then runs back.
Not the boot.
We won't have something like that.
No.
But we will have something that you press it. And
Yeah, like a
exactly.
num lock,
Yeah.
and you run that
exactly.
direction.
You run in that direction. All right. And then next one is from R. Valadez 13, who asks, will necromancers be able to resurrect or revive allies when the healer is being poopy?
I don't know. I don't think they'll be able to revive allies. However, they could potentially have a skill that allows them to utilize the corpse of an ally to summon like a zombie or something along those lines. Necromancer is cleric and summoner, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you could potentially utilize corpses around you and summon something based off of that. So
Summon a heart to revive your other friend?
right. No, not revive them.
No,
You won't be able to revive them.
No reviving. All right. Doc Frog asks, will we be able to move while dancing?
Move while dancing.
No, I don't think so. Dancing would probably be a root animation.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next from Kassarak goes, we know that a tavern on a freehold will unlock buffs for players. Will there be options for a tavern keep to add a store to purchase player-made items as well? So can people sell things out of their
The tavern is
as well?
already kind of a store.
Okay.
It sells like food and
alchemy,
drink and stuff like that.
Is that stuff that the players have put up there for sale?
Yes, they can put up
Yes.
there. Or family members.
Okay.
People who are part of your family can also list at your.
Yeah. And other kinds of goods, like they kind of require their own shop portion of the freehold. Tavern will be just focused on taverny kind of things.
Got it. All right. Jalon asks, a while ago, citizen tickets were mentioned as a one-off. Are those still in the development plan, or is it too early to tell? This one I'm not familiar with.
Citizen tickets.
Citizen tickets.
I'm not sure what those
A while
are.
ago, citizen tickets were mentioned as a one-off.
He mentioned citizen tickets.
Steven?
Yes, I'm thinking. Hold on.
He may be in
I need
chat.
to
Go back
move the bookcase ladder in my brain far down the brain bookcase. See if I can crawl up to the top shelf.
If not, we
Find
can
citizen tickets. My brain doesn't operate with a Dewey Decimal System, so I just have to kind of like.
It's like kind of
roam.
books are everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah, exactly.
just strewn. All right, we'll come back to that one.
We'll come back to
We'll come back to that one. All right. Traumru asks, for the Blade Caller class, which is fighter/summoner, will we be summoning weapons or creatures?
It's going to be likely weapons and weapon creatures.
What is a weapon creature?
Like if you could imagine like a blade golem almost kind of thing.
So remember, the fighter's primary skills, he doesn't get the summoner's primary skills, but he can augment. So like maybe he had, some type of like forward strike action, right? And instead, when he augments with the summoner augments, instead it might summon a cage of swords that strike the opponent, and then those go away or something. And then also the blade golem.
Blade Golem.
Maybe, I don't know.
I'm trying to picture a Blade Golem now. I'll have to
I
look
think that
later.
probably be summoner fighter.
All right, next up, I'm going to skip around a little because we had 50 questions this time. And
Oh,
we're
50
gonna
questions.
Kinda lightning round it.
Holy.
Yeah, there were a lot of questions.
Lightning, we're already 15 minutes over.
I know,
Are we?
but because we had some trouble a little bit earlier,
Oh,
we were
yeah,
giving
yeah.
them a little bit of extra time. All right,
So
I'm
we
going
have
to
to
skip
do-
around.
okay.
I'm going to skip around here.
Speed.
Wandering Mist goes, what are your current thoughts on resource management in combat, mana, stamina, etc.? How often can we cast before we're and will there be abilities or augments to gain back those resources during combat?
me see.
That's a long one.
So those really.
Sorry, that was not a very lightning round
Your
question.
action economy is based upon what balance that we determine we would like you to have based on utilizing 100%. Basically, like, do we want you to be able to kill a player, with your at least an APOC with your entire stamina bar? And the answer to that currently is yes.
Yes.
So taking that type of principle forward, right, when utilizing your mana in an MMORPG, do we want you to effectively kill a player and or a monster, with what percentage of that mana bar,
Right.
so to speak, right? That's the type of balance approach we take to action economy versus, skill efficacy.
Right.
Gotcha.
The main thing is that we want you playing the game. So that's kind of like our strategy. We
Right,
don't
not
want a
managing
whole
your resources.
crap ton of downtime. for
Right,
you
where you
guys.
have to sit down every fight.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
drink.
That's so
And you're not playing the game at that
20
point.
years ago.
Yeah.
It's old school. And then next up, I'm gonna skip around again. Ashbourne asks, will there be a class among the 64 classes that use fists or gauntlets to brawl it out?
Now remember, our weapon system is agnostic. So your class is not locked into any given role.
Well, can people use fists or gauntlets as weapons?
So that's the thing we've been talking about. I think
cestices?
Cesti.
Cesti.
Um,
Cesti. Yeah.
We've talked about it. We want that. It's kind of up to sort of the resources that we have to make that happen. We really want to make sure we're focusing on the sort of core fantasy elements, and if we have time to do, fist combat, we will.
Yeah.
All right.
But again, that will be class agnostic.
I'm gonna skip around again. Let's go. Roku111 asks, I really like the third-person action camera in Apocalypse. Will that be in the MMO as well, or is it exclusive to Apocalypse?
It will very likely be in the MMO if you have action stance.
It'll be integrated into that action system.
All right. And this is actually, Maggie followed back up on the Citizen tickets. You mentioned Citizen tickets in a July 9th, 2018 live stream. Does that help?
So
That
you're
doesn't ring
you're
a
in
bell.
we're in your
9th,
brain.
What?
Last year.
Here.
A year and a month.
A year and a month ago.
Tickets. Citizen. Can you elaborate on that? Have them elaborate on it.
Well, that was Maggie with posting me that one.
No,
so
I'm,
we'll see
I'm
what she
assuming
says.
Jalon. It was
Jalon
Jalon's
might be
question,
in
so he
chat,
probably
so-
messaged it.
He might have messaged it. Okay. Next up, from the Avatar, with fully player-driven mechanics, there's potential for players to break said mechanics and cause massive imbalances. Can you give us an example of what solutions, if any, you would implement to prevent or correct any player-made imbalances?
It really depends on the imbalance that we're talking about. If we're talking about the node system, unless something catastrophically went wrong, we're probably going to let it ride. In that, we want, part of the idea of the node system and all the systems that are kind of involved with that is to kind of let that emergent gameplay live and breathe and not prescript sort of what's happening in the game so much. When it comes to it gets to a point of duping things or there are true exploits involved, that's when we would generally get involved. Or if for some reason the node system just melted down because of whatever might have happened. When we're talking about sort of regular combat, builds that people have made that are just kind of out of line with what we expect, that will kind of be on a case-by-case basis. We don't necessarily want to bring out the Nerf bat every time there's something slightly wrong, but there's some things that happen in games that you just don't realize and that need to be fixed in order to maintain the health of the game. So it's really tough to tell without a real specific example,
Right.
but we want to be less hands we don't want to prescribe how you play. We want to let you play the way you want to play, and then we'll get involved if something is terribly wrong.
So the citizenship ticket was the ability to become a citizen within a node without needing to own a property. Correct. And that was basically where there would be a certain allotment of those types of citizenships available, and those could be expanded, I think, by choice of the mayor, and certain improvements that could be built in the node itself. And the question was,
Are those still in the development plan, or is it too early
to tell? I would say it's too early to tell right now.
Yeah, it's one of those things that will kind of Yeah.
I would say we'll give you an update on that when we have it, one way or the other. But yeah, I would say good question though.
Very good question.
I think that's the first
It's an
time.
oldie but a goodie.
I think it's the first
Question.
time I was stumped with like, what are we talking about?
There you go.
And that's because I think it hasn't really been talked about for the past year.
I mean, it's something that we haven't really needed.
Yes.
You know, it's a lever that we can use.
Exactly.
But not one we necessarily need.
All right, I'm gonna give you guys 2 more questions. And then
2
we're
more
gonna wrap
questions.
it
Make
up.
them good, Sarah.
All right. Will the MMO's hybrid combat be more skill-based or gear-based in terms of who is more powerful and likely to win in a fight? So, for example, will hybrid emphasize skill over stats, where, you know, if I'm able to react more quickly?
I think the goal is to emphasize skill over gear, but gear will still be a very
It will still play,
important role in your ability to perform. But ultimately, I think that the player with the higher skill level is going to have the edge, so to speak, in combat.
And we're also talking about, like, it depends on the differential you're talking about. Like a level 1, probably not gonna be able to take on a level
That's true.
60 even
Oh.
with skill,
Oh, yeah, no,
right?
absolutely.
Like that's just probably not gonna happen. But like when we're talking about like relatively, you know, within 10, 5 levels, you
Yes.
know, we want that to kind of be where the skill kind of takes place.
Yeah. So I guess there's three components when it comes to balance and this is if we're just talking about one-on-ones. Right now, ultimately,
which we're not balancing.
We're not
towards.
balancing based on 1v1s. We're balancing based on group v group, you know, and taking that into consideration. But with that being said, right, you look at level progression, right? You look at gear progression, and you look at class choice, right? Now, those 3 things play together the largest role in determining your efficacy in battle, accompanied by the variable that is skill, right? Skill is the variable that can tip the scale in one way or the other, regardless of these things, so to speak, to a degree. So as Jeff was saying, within 5 to 10 levels, that's probably the sweet spot where if you have a very high skilled level player who might be 5 to 10 levels lower than an opponent, he would be able to tip the balance in his favor, so to speak. But once you start getting beyond, you know, that 5 to 10 level range, it's going to become, regardless of skill, extremely difficult to overcome that level progression, gear progression, and class selection as well. Now, you may have an added benefit in the way that our rock, paper, scissors type of scenario between the classes exist, right? Some classes will be better against other classes and so on, and that's part of the whole strategic method that, you know, raid fighting will encompass, and castle sieges and whatnot. The composition of your team, so to speak, will play an important role, but keeping that in mind, yeah.
All right. Last question then here is from Azorl on the forums, who asked, will it be possible to revert or reset our invested artisan points if we regret going in a certain direction? Are we going to allow you to take backsies? Will we let you reset your artisan points? Will we let you do take backsies? Either paying or through
Will
some
you
other way?
be able to reset the artisan progression? Yeah, you'll be able to reset your artisan progression within that tree. Actually, you know what? I don't want to give an answer on that yet. That's something we have to discuss.
Yeah, we haven't had like a discussion on how we want to deal with
redact
that yet.
Okay.
There's a lot of things sort of involved in that, and,
Yes.
and we need to discuss what the final form of that's going to take. So
Yeah. I mean, there already is a significant lock-in choice when you choose your primary class in and of itself, right?
Yep.
But you know, we
we want to give options for it, but we also, you know, we have to plan for the future too.
Yeah, we want choices to have consequences. So don't take what I just said there. We don't know yet. We will update you when we get that.
Fair enough. All right, with that one, that is going to be our last question. Thank you both for answering all of those, and thank you for everyone else who was on our stream earlier too.
Thanks,
we had
guys.
Jeff on earlier, we had Bacon on earlier as well,
Brian.
we had Brian on too. Did I forget
Aaron.
anyone? Who else? We had Aaron
Bacon.
too. So we had so many awesome guests today. We hope you guys enjoyed all of that. Just some quick reminders to close up the stream. If you're ever wondering where to get the latest news about us, check out our website, ashesofcreation.com. There's a news tab there where the latest stuff is. And we've also got all of our social channels as well. Ashes of Creation on Facebook, on Twitter. Come join our Discord as well. Forums, also a fun time.
Yay!
So
Bye, everybody. Thank you. We appreciate you guys. Talk to you soon.
Yes. We'll be uploading this to YouTube so you can watch it later. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next month for our next episode.